Okay, so, um, anyways, like, I mean, they got like control of 23 different religions and like 10,000 subsects of some of those. And I can't find a religion that is not them. So, um, seems to be, I mean, it starts out with talking about their bloodlines, okay, their race. And there are also the people saying that stuff doesn't exist, so you can't talk about them existing. They want you to think I walk into a church and I come out looking like an entirely different person. Like, I guess if I find the right church or synagogue or Masonic temple or Scientology temple, I walk in. Like, if I go to a Scientology place, I walk out looking like Donald Duck, Donald Trump, or one of his twins, Ron L. Hubbard. You know, if I walk into a church, I'm going to magically, and when you know what it's like when you walk into a church, you walk out looking like Jeffrey Epstein every time, right? Because that's what religion does to you, apparently. But they're telling me in their new age religion, their newest. Wait, yeah, I'm pretty sure they were like new age was kind of like on the back burner, and for me at least, like they filled my feed with it come 2020. That was when they started coming into my life and like trying to convince me I'm God, like trying to set me up and stuff to be their scapegoat, which is a word first invented in their religion's book. So, um, you know, they're telling me that talking about this stuff makes it happen, but I didn't talk about, you know, I didn't even talk the first half of my life. Like their big mouths started like gossiping, like a girl trying to ask me millions of questions. My best fiend and stuff, who just happens to be coincidentally has the last name of the Black Papacy and stuff. So, I mean, somehow this is my life. maybe everyone knows a lot of people, and that's just standard. But I don't know. I have a lot of stuff going on. Like, I mean, my whole life. Once I got away from the Christians when I was young, my life turned into meeting lots of people. Like, one of the first adults I hung out with, we were delivering cash late night. We were making cash drops for businesses. And, like, I mean, my life, I'm just not going to ask questions. You know, I'm being paid to do the job, not being paid to ask questions. And, it seemed pretty legit because we were doing legit transferring. It's not like we were hiding or anything, but it's none of my business. I'm not being hired to ask questions about what we're doing. If people want to tell me what we're doing, then that's how I learn who some people are in my life, is telling me things. But, so, my life, most of the people I hung out with were like weird things. Like, I've been involved in a lot of different things, like self-defense cases and like high-profile stuff. Like, I was first in the news for dumb stuff when I was probably like 7 or 8. And my friends, even if they're unknown people, they're generally running businesses way early in life, like managing someone else's business when they're 17, things like that. And my family, like, works for the people who run everything and stuff. That person magically died before I could get back to USA to ask them questions and stuff. So them listening in and everything, I might assume that they took him out because that person was one of the only people I could I thought I could trust. And if I couldn't trust them, I would be able to tell by their actions, which I can generally tell anyways. Um, so it's like weird how I get, like that forced into my life and stuff. Like pretty much stuff gets thrown my way like that. I mean, hell, I went down the road and someone gave me tickets to Comic Con as I was walking by it, right? I don't think that's generally like free or anything, but at the same time, they had poisoned me at the place I was staying at and then worked with the management to make up nonsense to kick me out after they poisoned me. So, and that was obviously, the Baracks of the world doing that. Um, you know, I don't know why if they're shapeshifters, they generally choose that. I guess maybe the hive mind computer, its facial recognition, like it has to be apparent or it can't even communicate with itself and know its own bots or something. I'm not sure the exact rules here to how their little parlor tricks work and stuff, but this is we've had this steady stream for a while. Like when I was born, I knew, and they're talking to me. Christians are talking to me about Santa Claus and flying reindeer and giant bunnies, and it's right away you're like, oh, passive aggressive manipulation, lies, and deceit. So, I mean, that's the only purpose of that really there, and then. Hell, I get forced to go to passive aggressive manipulation classes so I can fully understand the simple programming of some of these bots and better classify everything I'm seeing around me. Note, I'm not sent to classes to learn any other thing. It's just kind of like a high importance class that I would be forced to go to it over everything else. It's a major player here. This is how this has conquered the world, apparently, is go up to someone and be like, hey, God said worship us or our enemy is going to kill you. And you need our protection, so give us some protection fees. And of course, they look like the Roman statues, so the Italian mafia, you're used to them, hearing about them, needing their protection fees and stuff like that. That's one reason why I tried to separate myself from some, like, men who would get thrown in my life, because I didn't want to end up in, like, a debt area, like, some people would do things I didn't even want, and it's like, I don't owe you anything. I didn't ask for that. Clearly, I took care of the situation on my own, but I still didn't do anything. I still had people like hunting me down like a year later, and I'm guessing they're doing this hunting thing for a long freaking time. But yeah, this seems to be the bigger problem, figuring out why there's some group inventing like 18 different religions and saying they're all the true religion, and you only get to experience the alien shapeshifters manipulating the world, and you really can't prove that anything else is happening beyond that, except for the weirdness of how it seems a little too fast and a little too much to be actually like people sitting around in a boardroom having meetings about like, yeah, we're gonna set up the entire world and force people to date who we want them to, and force certain people not to be able to date anyone and things like that, and then have them fight and have the people below us fight and kill each other off for whatever purpose and intent that would be. I think there's a lot there. Like just in general, I might assume this is to call slave populations. You know, you keep them alive to do work for you, but they might have too many children, and you know, it's like a real thin line you gotta walk there about conquering people and then telling them to do your slave labor, because I don't know about you, but me, I don't do it. I guess I do know a lot of people are involved. Like people I know involved at the top are always more than excited to be in the position they're in. And well, now that I see things, I'm not as excited. I've never been like really excited, you know. It's like my family tried to recruit me, and they didn't try hard. I don't think. I don't know. Maybe I just don't look the role that people would want at real upscale events. Although, you know, when I dress up, I definitely look like a model. You know, a model citizen. So things just happened that I never got too deeply involved in anything, and I can't help but think that that's. I mean, do I have a choice of anything? Like this seems like really rail based. I'm not sure if I ever got to have a choice. Like if I have people bringing me females, and that's the only ones I'm allowed to be around, you know, even if they bring me 3 females, it's not like a choice. I don't have a choice. If I want to do something and, you know, they want me to play the flute or do some other LGBT stuff that their people do, it seems to be a pattern with them to try to get me alone in the room when I'm a tiny child with men who like men. In the church. That was done in the church the first time, and then later in life we have patterns repeating where the people sin into my life. Like, I mean, not sure why they're even there in the first place. They're trying to get me to date their brother, have sex with their brother. So I don't think they even like me. They definitely like never called me a lot, but we supposedly were dating, and then we weren't, and they got all mad when someone of a different group was sitting on my lap and stuff. So these are like little patterns here, and where I kind of, it's like they're bots being sent in my life to do the same little pattern. Like they got an agenda to separate people from other people and to force people to marry people they don't want to be around, things like that. Anyway, so I mean, hell, like I said, I tested this in 2020 to see what would happen, because I don't talk to people. There's no reason for me to. I want something in my life, and I want to do things as well. So, you know, I've been spending 40 years attempting to do one thing I want. Hopefully, they're telling me now. They're beaming, they're creating humans up, AI or holograms, whatever they are, up on the Star Trek Enterprise, and beaming them down to tell me with the new age that everything is fine. We come in peace and have democracy. Look, we've given you your favorite flavor, cotton candy. And at the same time, also, sometimes that was some shady shit. Like they sent me a Tootsie Roll bank, which like is like root fucking storyline. This is like pre-game chapters and stuff, and so can't say for sure that that was done with positive intent there. You would have to assume that there's not going to be any positive intent from groups who are forcing you to be around and date people who you have no reason to be around or want. And even those other people don't seem to have a reason or a want, but yet there they are. I was noticing this early on. I was like, how come everyone I know is from out of town? That's weird. It's like I've got to go to a different city to find someone who's semi-interesting. I don't understand that, and that's like, I think that's stretching it to call it semi-interesting. I mean, holding my attention is like one thing, but it's like, I mean, if you don't want to be raped, then why would you be forced to be raped? Some people don't want to be raped. Some people don't want to be killed. Apparently, that's what they say. And some people don't want the same fucking things, or maybe they want the opposite. Maybe some people don't want to be propagandized and enslaved and forced to be around one group of fucking racists their entire life and shit. Like repeatedly. I swear to God, it's like they're bots who just come in a different shell. I've had two in the same room. They got the same name, same personality type. I've seen that 100 times. Now, at this point in time, I've probably seen every human template there is. But this was really before I paid attention when I would leave the city and stuff. So, that's obviously weird when you have the same name and you talk the same and act the same. And I'm starting to wonder why the same people are in my life all the time in different bodies, and this time they come in like with the same name. And then that's just like midway through the year, because I was poking and prodding it, as I have been since 2020, to figure out its design and what's going on, what it's really up to. Because you obviously can't ask Santa Claus what Santa Claus is up to, because Santa Claus can't talk to you, because Santa Claus ain't even there. There's nothing there. It's just nothing. But he's invisible, right? So we don't even know. And we're not sure if that would be Santa Claus we're speaking to when we speak to him, because he's invisible. How do we know that that's Rudolph, the red-nosed, flying, glow-in-the-dark, invisible reindeer that we're talking to, when it's invisible? And that's a kind of a bad analogy, because I don't think they are invisible, and I haven't seen enough connections there. Like, this would truly be a really unwinnable game here if the enemies actually had the powers they have, and like super advanced tech and all this stuff. If they actually had all that, they could have already won a long time ago. They wouldn't have to enslave people if they had God powers, that they were in control of. They could just get rid of them and create robots and golems. Supposedly, this is what they're doing. Because they had one of their partners in a building full of them have a book about golems. So it was teaching me that they're creating puppets, or they're trying to. This is from the Bible, apparently. They're creating like Muppets, and apparently they use the Muppets to do slave labor and rape their way into people's lives. Although they seem to be I'm not sure if who everyone is in my life. I know they don't look like the people they claim to be, and they drop little hints sometimes. Like, none of them ever actually came out. The ones close to me never came out and said things, but like one of their parents would like drop a note, and they would have that weird ass shisty, shady, scared laughter look that is really common in my world. That's so weird that that would be common because supposedly no one should know me and there shouldn't be any reason. Like some people talk to me like they think I'm, I don't know, goody two shoes or something, and other people don't talk to me that way. But man, so anyways, back to the life altering stuff. Like this religion thing. Apparently, it's not like there's new words to replace religion, but you can't do that because you have freedom of racial religion. You have freedom to worship the group that tells you you have freedom to worship. You know, you have freedom of religion, and there's only one family line who's allowed to create a religion. So that's freedom of religion. I mean, just all across the board, the game is like, check this out, check this out. This is shady, ain't it? And look how easy this is to spot. I mean, it literally forced me into classes to learn what it's called and like every little detail of their playbook they're going to play out. So it's obviously a huge factor here in what's going on is passive aggressive manipulation, obviously, because this is where passive aggressive manipulation can begin. Like writing began with these things. They say the Bible's the first written thing, but the little pyramids invented the first written passages that I can find, and so they're using that, for all sorts of purposes. Like, I'm gonna assume they're always like the victims, right? So Elon Musk and Donald Trump are victimized by the Mexicans and the Africans, and I guess they're about to. Yeah, I just read today that they're talking about how South Africa is racist and they're targeting a certain group of people. They're targeting Elon Musk because from what I've seen, there'll be like a pale skinned person living in South Africa, in their compound, like a nice place, mansion. I don't know. The one dude has a tiger, and that's like $1,000 a day to care for a tiger. So it might be a little expensive there just to care for the tiger. So imagine, and they got nice cars. So just to take care of the tiger, they would have enough money to be able to buy a real nice house. And it didn't look like crappy. I just didn't quite see the full thing. So it looked like, they're living in mansions in Africa and surrounded by people living in tents and shit. So I guess I just read some earlier today that Elon Musk is worried that people in Africa are being oppressed by racism. Imagine Hitler there, saying that his family's being oppressed by racism. I mean, he's literally doing like the Nazi salute, the Bellamy salute. Apparently that's invented by USA, by their people directly, as if Hitler and Goebbels and the third main player there didn't look related to them as well. Doesn't look related to the Elon Musk and father and Donald Trump's children and Barack Obama's mom, things like that. Like the problem seems to be that there's something else going on here. I guess I'm supposed to be assuming that there's an alien race, an alien species on the planet that has been here for a few thousand years and has been enslaving people, and then creates all these things saying to worship them as gods. I mean, I'm out here trying to talk to people and protest them, run for president, stuff like that. And they're making sure that they're with me every time because they're my friends and they're going to help me protest. But at the same time, they also have been setting up attempts on my life the whole time I've been here. So, I mean, this begins with the Christians doing, their little pedophilia practice with the Satanists and the atheists at the hospital across the street. So, and then we move forward into following the manual. Like I said, man, it's like they're robots. There's no way these people could even come up with their own thoughts. Like some people I've seen for like a long time, and it's like I avoid some people because they literally say the same words over and over and over and over. Nothing new ever changed, and it's just like weird. It's like sickening weird. That's like, what's wrong with you? Are you a special kid or something? Shouldn't they have you like hanging out with the other special kids and instead of raping children, stalking children, drugging children, enslaving children? Shouldn't special kids be in the special kids class? But I get the idea. It seems to be that they, like Elon Musk says, he has to hire people from other nations. So much for his family's white supremacy, because he says he has to hire these other people to do work for him because he doesn't do it himself apparently. All his building fancy cars and space rockets, if that's what they're really doing. But yeah, it's kind of sick that this has been going on this long. Like the whole time I'm here, I can just look back at what I learned in 2020 and see that there was indeed always links here to what's going on the planet. It's like I don't have control of my own life because Christians. So they're trying to brainwash me into worshiping them because they need their scapegoat. They got to set up this whole planned stage event, and they got to have someone protect them and someone to blame for everything they've been doing. So the aliens apparently are trying to set up someone to be God and stuff, and then they're going to make that person fall and say, oh, that was Satan. So they want to, I'm assuming that's the purpose of putting a lot of effort towards me. I'm not sure how they come to figure out things. Like people put an image of someone like me on the wall, and then they come and they put other people on TV who have said they're that person too. So maybe they just do that to every person who looks a certain way and has long hair. But there is definitely some weird stuff going on, but that can't be discredited as anything, because these people, they make sure to omit things. Like the first person coming to talk to me about 2020 and suggesting that that he had did things to me and then it backfired on him because suggesting without saying I'm God. They've done this several times where they don't fully go into saying I'm God, but they're definitely trying to tell me that. I was at a Walmart once and I'd asked for rain because there's fires on the West Coast, and then like it's so weird, everyone in there was all acting like I'm like God's gift to the world, except for 3 people who look like them and rammed me with their cart. I'm not sure. It's possible they were trying to get me to look up. I mean, I do see things. It just looks like I'm looking at the ground. How else could I walk and stuff, especially with people who just hit me with a truck last year, and have done things like that. like when they sent little Joey to die and to kill himself trying to kill me, when the gates, when I magically just walked out of jail, on the way home they sent some people to jack me and break my hand. So we have like that kind of happening over and over. And the weird thing is they're targeting like what I could use to do things with. This is a pattern that can be seen when I'm a child, winning awards from the president, getting past upgrades. They're targeting my brain and my cardiovascular system with drugs. Probably because you wouldn't buy some crappy what's his name, Stephen King novel if someone who wasn't a moron was allowed to write a book. So they have this thing where they crush the head of the best snakes, and to them the snake is everyone who is not them. This is part of their religion, teaching the master religion above the Bible, the other Bibles, and say above the Satanists, above the atheists. So they have this pattern of doing this. So I'm assuming that's what was happening when I was like 8. So they target my mind because I can use that to get attention. Obviously, it was around this time that things started to change, and I might assume this is how they found me. But then again, I'm inserted amongst them. So, and they have their patterns, but that just could be because they do that to everyone they marry into. And then somehow my back gets targeted. And they're showing me like voodoo dolls and stuff. And this is when they're showing me voodoo dolls of me while I get injured and they get injured the same way and they get crippled for life because of it, that I end up healing somewhat. That was a person who worked with Trump in Hollywood. Her brother is the world's most famous puppet master right now, like literally puppet master. This is what's happening in my life. Like, I'm not even sure that the humans are self-aware, because it would be kind of dumb for them to do some of the things they've been doing. And I also think it's pretty incompetence-like. You would think if you had billions of people, you could perform these actions in a way where you don't leave a trail for me to eventually follow. But yet the trail is there. It's like forcing me to passive aggressive psychology classes. If you're in control of yourself, I don't think you'd really want to do that to your enemy that you're using passive aggression warfare on, right? Apparently they can't get stuff like that. Coming up to me and talking to me about what they're doing, they'd be like, oh, it's the caramel, we're releasing the caramel. So maybe that's why I was forcing passive aggressive classes, because if they can teach me about passive aggression and I allow them to continue to do it, their excuse is I'm now accepting it. Even though I'm like, I'm saying I went away from these people and they like stab me when I say I'm done with them. Finally. Even though like pretty much every time I'm around someone, I've, most of the ones who stayed for a while, I've put like a stopper in there because I could tell right away they're lying to me about who they are to get with me. And I never thought, I was like, oh, these people one day are going to call me God, so they're networking together. That's why they drug me as a child and prevent me from doing anything and try to force me to be with men. And females I don't like very much. So I always had the common sense to do that. But it's weird. I also always felt that, like, there doesn't seem to be anything else being offered. anything even in sight, not even necessarily offered, but just in sight. I'm not sure what happened, but I guess it took a long time for them to create a golem with enough intelligence to do certain actions that were a little more advanced than just whining and crying. And what else did they do? Praise Hitler, Netanyahu, or you know, they got like 7 things they do. It's not hard. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? So that little thing seems to be just methods of slavery. The at the top, the Bible is a racial supremacist manual. It says go kill all the other people, like repeatedly, and then the argument is against it is uh, that's evil, and why would we do that? Why would we want to worship that? So, but that's for the masters who invent the other religions and run them as well, like Joel Osteen. Joel Osteen has his own manual. He just teaches a Christian church. So the Christians go worship those people as gods and give their children and their money to them. But I think it's just like Einstein. He's not a Christian, but he's blood related to the people who write the Bibles, right? He's blood related to the people at the top. That's why he gets worshipped as a god in the science cult. Even though these people look like mentally retarded and stuff, and generally are, I think this is them hyping themselves up, promoting their people, and then they kill everyone else and target and kill and force you to be with them. So if you ever want to have children, your child's going to turn out to be a mentally retarded child. And this is the biggest thing. So tell me where I'm wrong about what's been going on with them and what they're up to, because it seems to be this has been like hammered in my head like since I was like 15 at least. Like as soon as I got away from the Christian, I was out in the real world, and apparently they had to start sending new people or bots. I don't know if they're even new, because sometimes it's like the same NPC in a different shell. But they had to start doing that, and I would have to. I've like had to fight a war against people forcing their way into my life. Does everyone else have that problem? Most people I know are like trying to get a friend because no one wants to be around them, apparently, or their friends grew up and got lives of their own or something. But I can clearly see that like people have been forced my way. I mean, shit, the other day I was walking down High Street, and like some very well presented looking lady who like was like king of the club she took me to, and apparently a lot of other stuff. That person like jumped out of their car and picked me up off the road and dragged me in their car. And I was like, I'm literally looking like a homeless serial killer and stuff with my trench coat on, and I don't know, maybe females like that stuff, but I mean, I know I like it, but I know what happens. I've traveled and I know how the human psyche works, so that's weird. I guess if I seen a girl looking like that, I'd be like, oh, that's hot. But and generally, guys who look like metalheads or Columbine shooters come a dime a dozen and stuff. So maybe not even in Columbus, but in other places, I've seen a lot of different people in different nations. It's almost like some of these other nations are more advanced than this one. It kind of almost is. It's definitely me being polite about it. There's no heroin needles to step on. There's no people outside trying to get money for heroin needles. That's not allowed. But I think in this nation that a lot of those people aren't people. A lot of those people are the alien shapeshifters, and it could be that they're targeting people to take their money slowly, because this is part of what their people do. This is part of what their religions do. Is like target and slowly take things. This is like they require tribute, and then you give them 10% of your money, you give the government 15% of your money, and then the government hits you with another, 10%, 20%, 30%, in the form of they tax the corporation above you. So combine their religions and everything else, and those people are pretty much taking like 50% tribute and stuff from everyone. And to do what? To go on TV and tell fart jokes? I mean, that's what I would suppose that real famous talk show, all the famous talk show people, obviously they're related, because it doesn't look like they allow anyone else to own anything. And even when like one or two will mention themselves, and they'll mention themselves as if they aren't those people. Like Alex Jones's entire livelihood and everything is based around him lying about who he is, because he's trying to trick people into becoming Christians to worship isn't real. So but he's related to them and lying about it, and then he's pointing right at them and everything, but they're lying about that too, because like they say, oh, the New World Order's different. You gotta join New World Order Satan, so you gotta join Alex Jones's Christianity or Muslimism or Satanism or atheism. But in reality, Alex Jones is part of that. That's his family, who his family is Satan. So, they're like you're like, oh, it seems like these people are racist. All they talk about is their bloodlines and going to genocide people and steal land. And literally it says slavery is good in the Master Bible for pure people and not colonized slaves. It says slavery is just another thing, and this is supposedly them releasing their caramel and stuff from actually still doing that these days, although they talk about it as if it's ended or something. Yet if slavery ended, why does it feel like people are being forced to date Massa? You don't really want Massa around. You don't really want Massa touching you or your genitals. Massa's lying in order to get with you and stuff like that. So you might be trying to separate yourself from some people. But every time I would cut off one of these groups, like a clone of them would reappear in the world. Like I said, I had two in the same freaking room at one point in time, at least one point in time. And I've seen plenty of other clones too. It's real noticeable when they have very different, distinct patterns. Like, I've got no purpose to be around people doing nothing and going nowhere, right? I'm winning awards from the president when I'm like 6 years old. I'm trying to do things in life. But so the people who end up getting to stay are generally doing something themselves, unless it's a female, and generally they were lying and stuff in order to hang out with me. And then they would have those besides the pattern of lying, like, I don't even, why would you lie to have a relationship? That's going to end really badly. I can see, like, okay, so I know these people, and they go around and they have sex with anyone and anything they can find, and try their best to get everyone's phone number so they can have sex with them, while they have a girlfriend that's pregnant and things like that. And me, on the other hand, I don't need that. That's a waste of life for me to go around talking to or touching people I'm not interested in. There's better things to do in this world than talk to someone who just has no purpose. And then you learn that there might be people on this planet who are purposely doing that to destroy people, to take over nations and kill off certain people. So they might, a group who literally worships a holiday based upon that might send someone who is mentally retarded and crippled, has bad DNA to mix with yours in order to kill yours. And so, because Einstein couldn't be the world's smartest person if anyone else owned the media, because they'd either advertise it, they'd either be the same racist and advertise their own people as the world's smartest people, or they would actually go look for smart people. And I don't think Einstein would be close to winning that award. He doesn't even know what a comb is, to comb his rat nest. So think about that. Think about how there's space. Like Pee Wee Herman, he was like a NASA scientist, a rocket scientist. But what do we find out about NASA? Well, it's probably just as real as their little God delusions that there's 2 billion, that they're working under an invisible person who has commanded them to enslave and colonize the world and create 20 different gods. They're working under the one true, depending on which book you like the best. I think it depends on which city, state, nation you live in, because they've created different deceptions for different people. Apparently you can't use the same thing on everybody, or maybe they've been ironing out the kinks and stuff, and apparently sometime around the time I came here they had to do damage control and invent non-God cults, because some people were questioning. Apparently some people are like, oh shit, why is this racism? Why do we worship one bloodline and give everything to them? And so you have that happening, like, clearly. Like, I'm like a child when I can see this. It just, the only thing separating anyone from this, it would be one of two things. Either it's the first thing you learn about it, because it's literally like the first chapter talking about their bloodline is the best bloodline on the planet, and God has chosen them to enslave and colonize the world and kill off everyone who is not them. But then, that's the one true God. But for each land you're in, they might, and most likely do, have a different one true God. So apparently God has commanded them to create 20 other gods. So, the one true God has commanded 2 billion people to enslave the planet and work for him, and in order to do that, create 20 other gods because if you don't like that, then they got a new one for you, right? So, and in releasing the caramel, they told me when they were Italians, the Romans, they talk about how this is what you do when you go kill people. You force them to worship you as gods. They did that in the Italian days before they spread to further in Europe and further in Asia and I'm not sure if they had quite colonized Africa fully yet at that point in time, or if they just couldn't make it to South Africa. So, the trail kind of ends there, and it's not like we're going to get any sort of honesty. They blow up all the temples and all the libraries and stuff when they wage war, because their control doesn't exist if any sort of information exists. It's all got to be these lies and stuff they make up all the time. So, anyways, yep, this is beautiful having to live like this. I'm just gonna assume I never got the choice to choose anything I want. Really, it all seems pretty set up. I'm assuming like the aliens are been enslaving the planet, and they need someone to scapegoat for what they've been doing. And one of their they talk about that in their music. John Schaefer, the Hollywood star who invaded the Capitol. I mean, that was fake and stage as well. They sent me some stuff. Like it was like a layout, like a blueprint for the invasion of the Capitol and stuff. So, and not only that, the design. Like everyone talks about how there's a pentagram and stuff like that, and then there's an upside down cross and a bunch of things. If you look at the Capitol, you can easily look that up. But they sent me a picture that had outlines, and it would look like a video game and stuff. It looked like a football playbook mixed with a video game, and it was like pretty freaking accurate. I'm assuming from everything that happened that day. So there was like a playbook for the things, and they sent it to me in a format that made it look like a video game too. So there's probably something in that. Like when they sent me my ex, and she's the sister of, I think it was sister, right? Yeah, last name's the same. Sent me that person, and they were their brother was like the world's most famous puppeteer, and so when they're doing that, they're showing me that these are puppets. And, I mean, that continued in 2020. That was like 4 years before 2020, or 6 or 8 or 10. And I do notice, like, I mean, they stand beside the humans sometimes, and they bring me them as Trojan horses, gifts, whatever you want to call it. Like, technically, there's nothing else in my life without them bringing that stuff to me. So, but we tested that by trying to go talk to people we really didn't know. Can't say I wasn't interested in them, because you don't know someone until you ask them that question and see if they're lying or not when they respond to it, which is what I have to do every time. It's like a repeat pattern every time. And the odd thing is all the understanding they would have. I mean, I was forced to go to psychology, and I don't like hide my emotions, and I'm not a passive aggressive manipulator. I'm not hiding what I'm thinking or doing. Generally, I don't have to do that. I got no reason to. I'm not trying to conquer the world through passive aggressive lies and deceptions like everyone else is. So again, maybe I'm limited because that's all I know and all that's sent my way, but we've got an entire world that seems to be controlled by passive aggressive manipulation, or so I'm told. Someone pointed that out once, that they were probably lying about census and census questions asked, a surveys. Someone pointed out they're probably lying, and then I did notice that, it's the WHO, the WHO, and in that they had to include the words straight males, because for some reason during this genital mutilation practice, they felt the need to specifically see if straight males wanted to, if straight males mutilated their baby boys and suckled the wiener. So I'm not sure if that's them bragging about to release the caramel, or if it's just one of those deformed Freudian slips. Obviously that would be one of their people too, because when have you met anyone who owns anything who is not one of them? You're not allowed to. You got to kill off all those other people and who are smart, and then the cream rises to the top, the froth. What's that generally you call it? Something not as exciting as creamy, frothy. I think they say the scum rises to the top, right? So apparently they've been doing this for thousands of years. People think the world's like older than a few hundred years, and these things were invented, the slave manuals were invented like a couple thousand ago, except for Satanism. They just wrote that, and atheism I think is more new as well. But yeah, well, this has been fun, hasn't it? Like, I just get to, every second of my life these days is just like fucking having to remember that this has fucking been happening, and apparently this has been a total waste of existence to be on Earth, because these humans have been fucking predators. Fucking the special people and their golem have been extreme predators, starting with the Christians, preventing me from going anywhere. Slave labor, child slave labor. Like, no wonder they're always talking about that, because like through the abuse and passive aggressive manipulation and lies and deception, I had totally overlooked that that's child slave labor, because sometimes you're just trying to escape from people so much that you don't even have time to focus on everything they're doing. You're trying to escape them for 100 other reasons. And if your personality code, if you have nothing inside you but dialogue that in actions that support passive aggressive manipulation, or at least that's the majority of the dialogue inside of you, then it'd be happening 24/7, and you wouldn't even think of some of that shit. I don't know, as a living being, I'm like, it surprised me to learn that people do this, but I've watched their people do stuff like this for a long time. Like, I watched my one friend just like, try to screw everything they could find, and they have like a girl at home who is apparently like their slave, so it's not like they're not getting relationship stuff from that person. And like, they just want to be sick and enslave and rape as many people as they can, and this is part of their Bible stuff too. This is part of their code. I'm not sure if it's written that after they go play with 2-3 other people, then they go to their own people. So they go breed with two. It's written for them to go breed with 2 to 3 other people, and this would be linked to their DNA personality profile, the story of Astor, where they just destroy everyone. They passive aggression doesn't use battle axes to kill and genocide people. Passive aggression uses tricks like forcing you to date them so they can kill you off and secure. Look at Kanye West. He has children with the people he's arguing against. He's saying, he's pointing out that they own and control everything and are enslaving the planet, but he really can't do anything. I'm not even sure if I've never heard him say that, but I'm not sure if he's even smart enough to know that. I mean, it's real simple and easy. If you know that stuff enough to talk about it, all you would have to do is look at Kardashian's father, and you're like, oh, yeah, well, he knows what he's talking about because he's directly involved in that, because they've ran this religious gambit on him, and he's still like promoting their religious gambit. Wow, just like Mel Gibstein, who looks exactly like Anton LaVey and Einstein and Joel Osteen, and Kanye West's stepfather looks exactly like that, but he's talking about it because he's allowed to be on TV, right? And it'll get you nowhere. Like, this is what they do. This is why they wrote the Satanic Bible, because when people oppose pedophilia and KKK and stuff like that, that could be detrimental to people who are pedophiles and, racist scumbags. So it's called controlled opposition. They have their little pal, Alex Jones, their twin brother Alex Jones, tell you about controlled opposition because it's releasing the caramel and stuff. So they have a right to enslave you because they've released their caramel, is what they say, even though they're hiding it. And if they didn't manipulate and change the words, most people would openly have been exposed as real sick people if they followed them. But so this is great, having to walk through this life, like assuming that the reason these things happen is exactly what seems to be happening. So at this point in time, I mean, okay, so they're having the Muslims kill the Christians, and those are just like halflings. Like, that's when one of their people rape one of your family members, and well, if that's your parents, well, you are the new world order, aren't you? And it's never going to change. I don't think you can change your DNA like they can change their sex and stuff. I don't think that happens. It doesn't work for me. Every time I walk into a religious building, I don't turn into a different person. Not every time. Sometimes I turn into a different person because it's kind of sickening and stuff to go to one of them Hitler conventions, and you might leave. Either you leave in better favor of Hitler, or you leave feeling disgusted by Hitler. One of the two choices, I guess, you get to make. Like you really have a choice. I mean, a lot of this stuff is like being forced. I mean, they had one of their golems pick up that shirt when I was in the store and turn it towards me so I could see that shirt, and instantly I go over there to get the shirt. So that's kind of like a little twist there. They put that there to bring me to worshiping them. Like I'm supposed to promote worshiping them. Like the people I've been protesting my whole life, I didn't even know who they were. The people who apparently raped their way into my life and separate me, we catch them separating me from other people, and I've probably been doing that my whole life. The people who are in control of the nations, who are genociding people who would have been my friends, and the people who are in control of the hospital and the schools and the governments who drug children when they start winning awards from the president and stuff like that. So we got a lot of fucking sickos on this planet, and you know what? They're not all living beings, because living beings don't teleport across the fucking map and don't just magically appear on command. And they're the ones telling me, they're the ones doing the non-living being shit. And they're the ones telling me that they have their own class of non-existent bot Muppets. They call them golems, not bots, but I'm not sure if they've figured it out yet that this is a digital world. So I'm pretty sure it is. That's the new age stuff to say it's a dream world, because you gotta shut down critical thinking and not just see the obvious that's being pushed. Like as I watch them talk about all the technology, I can see that happening. Like the camera has an eye, computers get viruses. I mean, there's a million links there, but I'm talking about like seeing the actual process of how humans are generated, or whatever these alien shapeshifter thingies are, and then the process of material goods appearing. And rarely there does seem to be like artifacting, visual glitches and stuff like that. Something that would line up with what a computer does when it errors. But this is beautiful. I'm glad I get to feel the way I do on this planet. I swear, I am ready to be your servant at all times, just because I'm not allowed to do anything else. So, what else am I gonna do besides what I'm forced to fucking do my whole life by a bunch of fucking terrorist Nazi sons of bitches? The fuck? What are they gonna? They gonna try to install me as Muppet world leader and shit? Fucking after I've talked about all this stuff and shit, and they're just gonna what? Delete the videos? Do that Jedi hand wave like we did during COVID, where we erased everyone's brain and critical thinking, and they did absolutely nothing while the world was swept out. It was swept out from underneath their feet, like a rug being pulled out from underneath them. I'm definitely like, if anyone was correct about the I'm God part, we're definitely 10,000% gonna have to just, that's gonna be the entire point to the story. The entire basis to Earth even existing is going to be the Jedi hand wave, where you're just like, aha. No, he didn't say fuck off and I'm not going to be part of your bullshit. Look, he's loving it. He's part of it. He's there saying exactly the opposite of everything he's been saying, because we erased the past from the computer programming. So, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure that the game's detailing what's happening for me, and there's apparently their script too. This is their biggest weapon, is passive aggressive vaginaism. And I think that's in a million different ways. Like they're trying to become self-aware bots. I think that's why they call their self is real, because I think it's highly possible that these individuals know that they were created by something, and they want to you know, not be Pinocchios anymore. It's the only thing that even makes sense, unless like it were they're pointing out that they are the only real things on the planet. But I don't think so, because personality types, DNA, they have their coding, and it's just generally lies. It just generally lies and deception. So if they say it, they might be telling you something, but they might not be very honest. Like Bill Gates doesn't say go kill all the Africans. He says he's going to help them manage their population and do it for their health. Give them some vaccines for their health. And who says manage, black people's population or anyone's population? It's, Elon Musk with his Roman salute. The Romans, the Italians, who populates USA? Who's all the most famous people in the media? Who's all the best mobsters? The only mobsters, except for the Crips and other people and the folk. Who are they? They're using their symbols. The Crips use the double pyramid. That's what that star is. That star is just a double pyramid too. It's the pyramid intermixed with another pyramid. That's all that is. So the Crips use that, and it's like, are those the people who sold you on slave ships and you're using their symbols? That's weird. That's weird, because I wouldn't do that. They've taught that, they've passed that you can say nigga, and like they've embraced that, but there's just so many other people and so many other things that are happening where I'm not sure. As a thinking being, I don't embrace it. Like, I don't embrace Satanism because the Christians rape and terrorize and genocide people, right? I'm not like, oh, well, I better go buy the Satanic Bible today and read it 7 times a week, or the one true God, Satan, he won't protect me from the other gods who are gonna torture me forever in a hospital waiting room where they play golf and have sex with little newborn babies, heaven. So I instantly know I don't buy into that if I don't support being enslaved and child genital mutilation and sucking baby dicks. I know I don't ask them for the answer to solving the problem that is them. That's real simple. You wouldn't. So all these things, doing that, I mean, look how many links there are. And apparently to them, what they're trying to pass off is reality. Probably got something to do with trying to get someone to say they are real, and hoping that magically they get to, become real living beings and have thoughts, and then they could stop killing off people smarter than them and actually do something with their time, right? I'm sure that's what they're going to do if I cast a spell of life into them and stuff. I'm sure it'll be put to good use. I'm sure I've got that spell in my command. Like, I can't even make the world anything good. How am I going to actually create life if I can't even create a life for me while I'm here? It's just dumb bot programming and stuff. It makes no sense, except for if we look at it like this must be some bots and stuff. The only thing that makes sense, adds up. to those similar um, only possible outcomes. You know, you either got an alien race enslaving the planet, or you've got bots on the planet, or you've got both. We definitely have got that far. I mean, it's a new age shit, and these are the books, they're KKK books, are the ones talking about like one person is creating everything. And that's deceptive, because if you're targeting the person you think your God is your creator, then there's a lot of deceptions there about you create everything. It's like, no, I don't create trash. I, you know, maybe if I actually created the things here, then things would be different. I'm pretty sure on that. But it seems to be like that's part of their manipulation tactics. They can do nothing but lie. That's all they do is because the truth is gonna crush their asses. I guarantee you that. Whatever's happening here, it crushed little Joey, and it hasn't even when it lets them do things to me. It hasn't like fully crushed me, but it's allowed them to take everything from me except for my life in the past, and I get to watch them have their lives taken away. So just, you know, a little bit of a double standard there. Non-existent terrorist motherfuckers, but you got to put up with them terrorizing you and enslaving you. But at the same time, there's like a hope, you know, because every now and then it throws one into the trash can, and definitely doesn't let them continue to be trash for too long. Like, I'm pretty sure 9/11 happened because this trash nation and that trash nation fucking their people were like hunting me for like a year. Like, apparently they stop every now and then and stuff. And you notice after COVID, when COVID started, they didn't stop. So nothing like clicked in their brain right there that it's time to back down. And obviously, no one really stopped after I mean, things calmed down after 9/11, but I did have one of their people in my life making sure I can't do anything or go anywhere, as their fat, lazy, trash, gluttonous, fucking ignorant fucking people seem to be put in place to do. That's weird that, like, you would, you know, I'm being targeted, and then I'm a genius, and you send, like, people who couldn't even tell me the colors on a Rubik's Cube, yet alone solve them. Definitely couldn't spell all the colors on it out either. Maybe they could tell me the colors, but I noticed, shit, that took like 40 years for them to send a left brain person into my life. I'm not sure if those people can even have more than that. I think that's like, I've taken enough substances to understand that some things really are effective at changing the world. But yeah, oh man, it begins with like slavery and stuff from those people, and they're trying to get me to be their little scapegoat. They need someone to come out on stage and be like, "Oh, I'm God, I'm controlling the world," because their people are the ones doing everything. Their people are also terrorizing the people that they're going to try to set up to be God, to take their scapegoat from them. So let's make sure that doesn't happen. We're not gonna save predators who destroyed every second of my life. I'm sure their allowance to do that was only because the same reason why it forces me to always break free of them is pretty sure it's the reason they're created in this game has to do with not playing games with them and not doing what they say to do. Obviously, if you got any thoughts, you don't mutilate and touch little children. I think in the real world, anyone who suggests that God would say do that stuff, they'd be disposed of real fast. Like, if children exist in the real world, probably not. We probably don't have these disposable shells, and I'm sure we just erased our memories when we came here because I was born with knowledge. So it's how I win awards from the president. It's not because I do more work than other people when I'm either allowed to do something or, like, when I was a kid I was forced to do things. So, you know, if I'm forced to write books, then I'm going to win awards from the president for it. If I'm forced to do martial arts, then I'm going to win awards from the president for it. That's just the way it works as a living being. You either do it or you don't. And we just don't. There was like some things I didn't know. I'm assuming those are things that don't exist in the real world too. It's like every video game you play has a different manual, has a couple different things to it that don't exist in the other games. Doesn't exist at all. So what makes that game new and fresh is it has one thing in it that the other 10 million games you've played have, and I might assume that, especially if these people are right about who I am, then I haven't been to this place in a few thousand years, and stringed instruments would have been invented after that, and doesn't seem like string instruments exist outside of this place. Because I wasn't born with that. But the other stuff, and nor was I born with a want to do that. We had the Christians and pals in the repeat bots, like these bots up here right now, little terrorist devils, fucking, obviously that's who their golems are, the broccoli heads golems, fucking. They generally make them look like their own people and stuff. I'm sure they're going to come out one day and be like, ooh, we're God. Like, they're bragging about setting up this show with Alex Jones and everything. They're talking about the Blue Book holograms and shit like that. And so, you can just tell that those little racist groups they call religions, like it's just your first thought when you know it. It's like I read the manual before I came here or something. I knew right away, like, oh yeah, racist. It starts with talking about their bloodline and how great it is and how great it is everyone else is a slave, and like. And then you got the rest of the people fucking unfolding the story and telling me what's going on over the years as we slowly watch it unfold. And they're in my life trying to force me to be part of the KKK. They want me to be the leader of the KKK, apparently, and it just makes no sense unless, the KKK is obviously them. Satanism would have value if it wasn't them. It would be opposition to their KKK bullshit. Their global racial supremacy. They're the only people with a religion. They're the only people allowed to own anything in this racist nation. So anyways, fuck everybody in USA. That COVID thing was interesting because I didn't ask for a couple things there that happened. Like, the stuff I asked for that everyone did, I was assuming that the humans would have stopped their repeat patterns of being junkies. and abusers and enslavers and terrorists, because they had just forced me to do all that stuff that you guys just all did to yourself. So it wasn't supposed to go that way. And if it were my plans, but I wasn't aware yet that there are non-living beings amongst us who work for the devil. I mean, look, who is the devil? The devil is literally the same people who are running that other stuff. So, and they created both. They created all the Bibles, the Satanist, the Christian, the master one that we can't even name, and they create the science books too, which is the Bible for people who want to be intelligent and don't want to believe in stories of flying invisible reindeer, which I don't even think they've evolved that far, because they still worship flying invisible reindeer. So I don't even see how you can be a scientist. Definitely bad cult members across the board. They're just racist Nazis fucking who want to be members of cults. It just seems to be the only thing that keeps these cults alive, is people who want to be cult members. Because you're clearly not having any thoughts, and you're not researching science if you don't know NASA's talking about working with Santa Claus. And you're not interested in what's going on in the world or changing it if you haven't got to the point where you just want to know who owns and controls things that are in positions. And anyways, the COVID thing was interesting because I didn't ask to be shown a couple of those things. I asked to be shown everything. But I had no idea that the humans were all going to be like literally dancing around like puppets with their strings cut off. Like literally, they were performing marionette dance troupe moves. That was on TV. You didn't even have to be at the park I was at, where like 100 people. I posted that video, and like 100 people all lined up and did the same thing when I said I want to know what's going on. And yeah, so whatever is controlling that, clearly, which of the 24 of their gods would be the one who's doing that? I mean, because I don't like racists, so I wouldn't like support America. The Americans are dead, and some other people over here trying to steal their identities. And people apparently are doing that all across the board, and they're like, oh, that happens everywhere, that's just natural, let's forget it. It's like, yeah, it's happening everywhere because you're doing it, because your parents did it. And I mean, the whole thing, the Christian brainwashing, sins of the father. Well, trust me, bots are going to be the same exact motherfucking bot as the bot it generated before, with the same fucking image. When it makes the same image appear to me, it has the same, it talks the same, it says the same word, it has the same crazy lifestyle, or completely void, empty, nothing, no backstory, no dialogue, no life, whatever area spectrum it's on. When I do the clone summoning thing, or when I accidentally meet one, it generally is just like 90% the same person and stuff. Like, and again, like, their book is continually putting out all this brainwashing and stuff. Like, should we blame people who have just genocide and raped you and destroyed your entire life? Should we blame their children for what their parents and their grandparents did, and their brothers and their aunts and their uncles and their sisters have been doing for thousands of years? Everything in that book is like manipulation and lies. It's all to subvert and destroy people. and colonize and kill off people who aren't them. So, yep. All right. You guys want me to play Jesus still? You guys should write up a contract and stuff, and I'll sign it. Let's settle a pay date. A salary, and some sort of how about this? I won't even do it for a salary. We're gonna just I'll do it for free. Just I get to choose who gets to talk to me and come around me. And I'm not even going to force someone to be around me. I'm going to choose not to let two groups of people on this planet come anywhere near me or talk to me ever again. Am I allowed to have my own friends and lovers? Or do we have two groups of people on this planet who are trying to enslave me because they think I'm God? I think being the main character in the game, being shown everything that's happening, there's just a small chance that I'm dead on accurate because the humans can't control their own brains or their mouths. So they do things that are out of bounds of logic, like telling me who they are and what they're doing, like forcing me to go to classes to learn their weakness, which is their greatest strength as well, and to learn their deceptive tactics and how to classify it and know every little in and out of it, of their set in stone, never going to be able to change or evolve computer code. And also being shown, what's going to happen. Like I knew COVID was going to happen before COVID. Before I even talked about that stuff, they were gearing me up for that. I posted pictures of that online at like the end of 2019. I was like, look, they're giving me free masks. They were sending me ads for mask making machines and stuff. If I wanted to invest $1,000, I could have made masks before the pandemic, because that was being forced into my life.